Hello, Frontstretch family. We are back for the final Grassroots rundown of the year at none other than the Snowball Derby at Five Flags Speedway. The 57th running wrapped up tonight. There is so much to talk about, but I just want to start with this event. Like, the magnitude of this event, the atmosphere, the kids will like this, the aura. Like, being here, this is your second year in a row covering it for us. Explain this event to somebody who's never been here.
It's the Super Bowl of short track racing. You get some who's who of some NASCAR folks. There were some colleague racing people. I don't know if they were with sweatshirts on. There was some people from Pinnacle Racing Group. There was two gentlemen who had on the Hendrick Motorsports vest that you see Jeff Gordon wearing. It is a who's who of short track racing. You get everybody from your seasoned veterans like Bo Pollard to your young up-and-comers like Brent Cruz, William Swalich, Gio Ruggiero, to your drivers who are trying to make a career out of it, like tonight's winner, Kaden Honeycutt. It had a record purse. Crowd was, again, unbelievable like last year. This year, the rain held off. There was a little bit of a miss for a couple minutes.
Laps,
yeah, it was more just a little bit of a nuisance than anything else. It's in Pensacola, Florida, which even though you're saying, hey, it's Florida, it should be warm. If you're like me, you don't dress warm for it, and then you get cold. So it's a who's who of event. It is something that if you are an asphalt short track fan, be it in the state of Washington to Maine to Florida, this is the event of the year.
Absolutely. And I will admit, I underestimated the magnitude of this event. And I got here on Friday night on qualifying night, just around the time super late model qualifying started for the Derby. And there were cars parked along the road 2 miles that way. There is no other short track in America, no other short track race in America, I'll even say the world, that you get a crowd like that on Friday night for qualifying and a Crown Vic race. It is incredible. The atmosphere here all week long is unmatched. Saturday night, the snowflake was fantastic. The crowd here was great, even though it was freezing. And then the grid on Sunday, the pomp and circumstance, it has a NASCAR feel to it, but at the same time, you're looking around and you're like, I'm at this historic, worn out, not run down, but you can definitely feel the classical look and feel of this place.
It was last paved in 1973.
1973, other than the front stretch, has been more recently repaved, but 1973, which that was a topic of conversation this week. So yes, this is the Super Bowl, the Daytona 500, the Indy 500, the World Series, the granddaddy of them all. And we'll get into the race now. You mentioned Kaden Honeycutt, the winner. What a fantastic race we saw today. Really, Honeycutt and Majeski were the class of the field. Stephen Nasse came on late, but good, hard racing throughout the field. We didn't have as much of a shit show as we had last night. And then the end, those last 20 laps were absolutely brilliant.
Kaden Honeycutt, what a year he said. He gets the Cars Tour Pro Late Model Championship. He does impressive. Obviously, he didn't get any wins, but impressive enough in a truck, Nice Motorsports truck, that he is running for that team full-time next year. He's already said his goal is to win races and make the playoffs, and I wouldn't bet against that. Comes out here, wins the race, and Ty Majeski, last year's winner, truck championship this year, all those accolades. And Honeycutt went toe-to-toe with him. They raced hard. They raced clean. Yes, there were some accidents, and most of those happened, I feel like, towards the back half of the field. But the front half, they raced hard, but they raced clean. And at the end of the day, he takes them a record purse and a very emotional winner. Obviously, you were the one who spoke to him, but a very emotional winner when he climbed victoriously out of the car. And Stephen Nasse, Ty Majeski, they both said how happy they were for Honeycutt, and I think that speaks volumes when the top two drivers who failed to win are still super happy for the winner, even if it wasn't them or their teammate.
Absolutely. That purse for the winner was $50,000, a 5 with 4 zeros. That's some big money. And this was actually Honeycutt. He told me it was around his 8th super late model race ever. So it's not like he's a seasoned veteran in these cars. He's just a wheelman. And he went out there toe-to-toe on that last restart with the likes of Ty Majeski, and Stephen Nasse. Nasse came on late at the end, almost got to him. If he had had one more lap, I think he had this race. He was closing fast, and he went down into 3 and just about had him. And I think if he hadn't hit the brakes, he probably would have wrecked him. Don't want to do that. He's been disqualified from a snowflake for that before. So for Stephen Nasse, you know, another one gets away. He won the Derby back in 19, and they got thrown out. He won the Snowflake in 20, and he gets thrown out for rough driving. Won the Snowflake last night, but man, he's going to have to wait another year for that Derby win.
You wonder if at some point we start having a Stephen Nasse countdown, like a Bubba Pollard countdown, because, man, you feel like the track, they're so good. They've won other races. They're the two biggest heavy hitters in short track racing that are just short track drivers. That, you know, Nasse, I mean, he even jokingly said this one probably hurt more than when he got disqualified, because when he got disqualified, it was on a technicality. This one, it was on track, 1 lap shy. Man, that one's going to sting for a while.
Yeah, and you know, you mentioned Bubba Pollard as well, and he had a strong car early and kind of faded, so attempt number 17 down the drain for Bubba Pollard. And I hate to say this, I don't think either one of them would like to hear me say it, but I think it adds to the rivalry between the two that neither of them have won the Snowball yet. You know, all the talk is always Nasse and Pollard. Are they going to get into it again this year? They don't like each other. It's pretty public. It's pretty clear. And the fact that both of them are still chasing their first Derby every year, and they're always near each other, I feel like that adds to the rivalry.
Makes the race even more storyline special.
Absolutely, but there was another storyline today. Jace Hansen. How about Jace Hansen, the driver out of Colorado? What a run he had.
Yeah, I gotta be honest. I feel like I know short track racing well, not well enough as compared to others, obviously, but Jace Hansen, my first thought was kind of all right, what's his background? And that doesn't sound good coming from you as a reporter, but at the same token, what a run. You know, we'll see what happens with him in the future if he's doing more super late model racing, but heck of a run in that 08. I believe they used a little bit of different strategy. They got the lead, and I mean, he showed that not only was it the strategy that got him the lead, but he just had the car, the speed, the capability to go toe-to-toe with the likes of Nasse and Majeski and all those other heavy hitters that, you know, fans love to see in the Derby.
Yeah, sorry I made a face, guys. I think one of the Rackley haulers just, like, wrecked in the parking lot over there. Live coverage here from Frontstretch. Yeah, I talked to Jace while he was in the tech bullpen, and we asked him about the strategy Will Bellamy did from Racing America, and he said, you know, I just couldn't understand guys putting tires on that early. It didn't make any sense to him, so they didn't put their tires on that early. They just stayed on what they had, and they saved that set of tires, and they got lucky with a yellow. He was a couple laps away from going a lap down. Gets a yellow, puts his tires on when nobody else really did, drives to the front, and then once he got up there, he stayed there. And, you know, I asked him, you restart on the front row with 20 laps to go. And he kind of missed the restart. Is it frustrating? Does it add to the drive to want to come back here? And he said it's extremely frustrating because he knows he messed up, and it's from a lack of being in that position. But it also, of course, it adds to the drive. It makes any short track racer want to be here that much more than they already do. Man, this has been a blast. I couldn't think of a better way for us to wrap up our coverage this year at all. And if you guys have never been to the Snowball, if you've never watched the Snowball, I'm going to tell you right now, you are missing out, because this is one of the greatest spectacles I have ever seen, and I assume you'd probably agree.
Yeah, and shout out to Flow Racing. Everything that I was seeing on social media, they were busting their butts. They were working hard. So, you know, obviously Racing America had it for a long, long time, but Flow Racing. So again, it adds to these storylines of, hey, we're potentially getting it out to more people. And man, if you've never been, it's a treat to come here. It's a great atmosphere. They've got everything from the hoodies to some die-casts to different foods to the pomp and circumstance of pre-race. It's a good time, and I don't know about you. I'm looking forward to coming back in 2025.
Absolutely looking forward to coming back in 2025. You mentioned food. I may or may not have allegedly eaten a honey bun bacon cheeseburger today. Um, yeah, that was not good for me. One other thing I want to mention. We had a problem this weekend with the track surface coming up, and there's a talk, repave or don't repave. Where are you at on that?
It's a tough question because, I mean, you can't have the track coming up, and I think it was TJ DeCare yesterday said his race got ruined when the track bit his car and did serious damage to the nose. You can't have that in racing. But at the same token, I mean, those last 20 laps, those guys seem like they were on rails. Getting new surface where the tires will last, they will do that for all 300, which on one hand, it'll provide great straight lines of, oh my gosh, they are breaking records and they are hauling. On the other hand, the comers and goers of the race, I don't know if that would exist. Could we do a partial repave of, in certain areas, repave, and then a few years down the road, repave other areas to try and allow aging? Obviously, I'm not the one writing the check, so I don't get to make that call, but I would say I'm leaning probably more towards the partial repave and hope that that continues to provide the great racing that we saw this year, we saw last year, and we hope to see for years to come.
Greatest thing an asphalt company ever did was sell a patch instead. Patch Pensacola 2025. We do not need to repave it. Please don't repave it. If they repave this place, it's going to be way too fast. Not way too fast. Like, there is no way too fast. But it's going to be too fast to have good racing. They're not going to be able to pass, in my opinion. Maybe you guys disagree with me. If you do, feel free to let us know. But I think they should just patch it. Like, seriously take the time in the offseason and good patches on the bad spots that are coming out. Any final thoughts?
Man, it's been a 2024 from everything from started off with Daytona to here, everything from street course racing to short track racing to some dirt track racing. I believe Frontstretch covered. It's been a year. Pleased to have brought it to everybody for 2024, and looking forward to doing some of the more great things in 2025, everything from NASCAR to ARCA to short track racing, IndyCar. If you've been following Frontstretch, you know the drill.
Yeah, I just want to say, I mentioned this last week when I did this with Michael Massey at Southern National, but everyone who's followed along, especially if you've made it to this point in this video, because I know it's a long one, thank you. Because without people that care enough about motorsports and racing to watch this, him and I wouldn't have a reason to be here. There wouldn't be a story to tell because there'd be nobody listening. So if you guys follow along Mark's ARCA coverage or my short track coverage or anybody else in the company that does, like he said, NASCAR, IndyCar, F1, you name it. Thank you guys. We appreciate all the support you guys give us. I'm looking forward to being back next year, but I'm also cold. So for now and for the rest of 2024, that's going to do it. For Mark Kristl, I've been Chase Folsom from 5 Flag Speedway. We will see you guys in 2025. Hey race fans, I'm Chase Folsom with Frontstretch.com. If you enjoyed the short track video you just watched, please be sure to subscribe to Frontstretch Grassroots on YouTube for more Cars Tour, ARCA, and other grassroots racing. Check out Frontstretch.com for all your racing needs.